All right, mamas, so I am back. I am here with a two-parter. Episode 95, in case you missed it, it was entitled The Biggest Mistake Moms Make That Keep Them Overwhelmed and Exhausted, and What to Do Instead. Because I'm not the type to leave you just hanging, right? That's not what I'm about. I am your hype woman. I'm going to hype you up, but I'm also going to give you some clear direction as to what to do next, right? So if you're just tuning in, you can go ahead and pause and go back to episode 95 because I really believe it's going to really nourish your soul. It's going to make some light bulbs go off in your soul, and then it will better equip and prepare you for this episode. But if you've already listened to it, go ahead, let's dive in, and I'm going to take you through the next step in this process that is exclusively taken from my signature program, the Energized Mama Method. Let's dive in.
The Energized Mama Podcast, a place where we explore together how to raise those littles to know the Lord while growing in your own intimacy with Jesus, learning how to keep your energy while handling the inevitable stress, and rediscovering yourself outside of motherhood. It is possible. Let's do it together.
Mommy. Mama. Energized Mama. Yeah. You might do.
All right, mamas, welcome back. So I want you guys to get real visual with me, right? I'm a visual learner, but if you're listening to podcasts, chances are you might be multitasking, doing something a little else. And I'm totally fine with that because that is how us young moms get things done, right? It literally, I think, requires a little bit of multitasking. So wherever you're at, whenever you're at, I want you guys in your mind, okay? I want you to picture a boat. Right? Now, if you've already listened to episode 95, you probably know where I'm going with this, but just a quick refresher, right? So I want you to picture a mom. She is in this boat, and this boat is in the middle of the ocean, and it is taken on water. And all this mom can really imagine is just making sure she stays afloat, right? Who wants to sink in the middle of an ocean with no land to be seen, right? Especially if you take it the next level and imagine this mom with her littles in this boat. So as most moms do, what does this mom do? She picks up a bucket and just starts bailing out water and bailing out water and bailing out water. And over time, you start to see the boat lift out of the water a little bit. You can just almost feel the relief of this mom and us watching, right? Oh, good girl, you've got this finally, right? Like you're going to be okay. Well, no sooner does this mom put her bucket down and sit down on the now seen bench that was once sinking underwater that the boat starts to sink again. Why is this, right? Well, this is often the approach that us moms make when we go to try to keep up with the hectic everyday lifestyle of being a mom of littles and having a family, right? Is we have all these things on our plate that we feel like we have just got to try to survive, put out this fire, put out this fire. And where we don't even realize that the better option would be to take a step back for a second and actually put on our goggles and go investigate where are these holes, right? Where is the water coming from? Because anyone who's spent time on a boat, water gets on a boat, but it's often not from over the side of the boat, right? Unless you're on some really rocky seas, which, hey, motherhood can feel like that too. But chances are if a boat is sinking, just like the dear old Titanic, there is a hole or multiple holes in your boat. So that's what episode 95 was all about. I talked to you ladies about identifying your holes. Where are the holes coming from? What holes do you need to attack first? Because of course we know that we simply cannot attack every single hole that's draining us, right? So after listening to that episode, hopefully you've come back to this one and you've said, okay, Shy, like I am finally afloat. I can sit down, I can put my bucket down. There may be still a little bit of water here and there, but my boat is most definitely not going to sink. And doesn't that feel good? You could almost feel this reprieve. Again, go back to that woman, even see yourself, right? See an image of yourself just sitting on that boat, finally looking out at the horizon and finally being able to just have that energy to breathe and look out and actually imagine the destination that you want to go. However, this is where our next problem comes into focus, right? So now that you've put out, now that you've plugged the drains, you've plugged what is actually draining you and causing you to just be in this flight or fight mode all the time. Now that next step is to choose what to fuel you, right? Because your boat is not going to serve any purpose. Your motherhood is not going to serve its purpose in your family's lives, for your children, for your husband, and for yourself, because your motherhood is going to teach you and bring you many places. It's actually meant for you, that God is going to actually teach you from your life right now, exactly in this present moment. I promise, because I'm there and I've been there. But you can't get anywhere unless you put fuel in your boat. If your boat has no fuel, it's just going to sit there and it's not going to ultimately serve its purpose, because a boat is a vehicle. A boat is not meant to just sit there. Sometimes you need to be anchored, right? And you need to stay in one place. But very often, even after you enjoy a time out at sea, you want to go somewhere, right? And you can't do this without fuel. And you also can't do this without the right fuel, because any sailor will tell you not all fuel is created equal. You can't pull a boat up to any gas station and decide to put any type of gas in it. Arguably, you can't pull your boat up to a grocery store and just start dumping milk and orange juice in its gas tank, right? You've got to put the right fuel in. And so that would be the next level and next step that I take my clients through in the Energized Mama method, is what fuels you. Because you've got every coach, every guru, every well-meaning mom and aunt and sister out there trying to tell you how to fuel yourself, right? We've got everything from the quintessential mom drink, coffee, right? And don't worry, I do not tell my clients to give up coffee. I can even say that right here, right now. So please don't click off this episode. But that is one area that people try to go through for fuel. Energy drinks, supplements, right? We have a lot of Band-Aid fixes that we try to put on it. And what happens is we often are putting in the wrong fuel, and then we end up going somewhere, but then we burn out before we can ultimately keep going on our own destination. So you need to figure out what fuels you. And as we are not all just body, we are body, soul, and spirit, you need to also make an assessment and figure out what fuels each and every part of you, right? Because it's just like a boat. You can put fuel in the engine, but the boat is not just the gas tank, but it's not just an engine, right? There's sails, or there's the bow, there's the stern, there's pieces that go together that make the boat a boat. Just like you are, again, you are a 3-in-1. You are a mind, body, soul. So first, let's think of the body. What makes you feel fueled in your body? Well, it's all about incorporating the right kind of food that fuels you and not just fills you, right? Again, we don't want to put orange juice in our boat. It's going to fill the tank, but it ain't going to do anything. It's not going to take us anywhere. So we need to help you figure out what exactly food is going to fuel you. And also, let's not forget about the other physical component of our bodies and our lives is movement, right? Because now that you're less drained, now that you've plugged your drains, you should have either made time or had the energy and time to move your body. And everybody likes different movement. I have some friends who absolutely love Pilates. It is their thing. They love working with those machines. And then I have friends who absolutely love CrossFit. And they're like, the more weight, the better. Let's throw those things around. And then you try to convince each of those groups of women to try the other, and they instantly are like, absolutely not. Like, that just, I've tried it, or even the thought of it drains me. I get that reaction a lot when I tell women that I love running. For some women, it is the least thing they want to do, right? They don't even want to picture themselves going out and putting on a GPS run app, where for me, that fuels my body, but also fuels my soul. Like, I have this amazing connection with God when I go out for a run. So again, I'm not here to tell you what to do. In my program, I help you walk through the steps to really take a real assessment and figure out, again, not what your best friend says, not what your pastor's wife says, what makes your body feel good. And sometimes, I should even say fuel good. How about that? What makes your body fuel good? And I want you to, and it takes time, right? Because sometimes our bodies are a lot different after having babies, your body changes, your different body parts maybe function a little differently, maybe you have a little extra weight. So this sometimes does take some time to figure out what actually feels good in your body where you're at right now. And it also can change. I know that there was a season, I'm now almost 10 months postpartum at the recording of this episode with my second son. And I know that there were a couple months ago where I needed to start doing somatic workouts, which was a lot of breath work. It was a lot of slower paced workouts than I was used to. It wasn't about getting my body heart rate up as high as it could go, which is what I've been used to for so long during my 100-pound weight loss journey and my athletic career. So it was very different for me, but it was totally what my body needed, because the other side of it is, right, you also need to figure out what fuels your mind. Is it journaling? Do you feel a sense of stress relief when you pour it all out in a journal? Do you need a friend or a group of women or a group of friends where you can just verbally process instead of writing it out? Do you need to be able to talk it out? If you do need a space and a place like that, by the way, I just want to offer to you, I have a totally free online Facebook group. You can find us at momnationcommunity.com. Again, that's momnationcommunity.com. And it is full of women that are in the exact same stage of life as you, but also the exact same state of mind, meaning they're either right in the trenches where you may find yourself right now, or they've been in the trenches and they're going to be the ones to help you pull out. Because I know firsthand from my experience of living abroad in Belgium for almost 5 years, it's hard sometimes to find your tribe in person. So that's why I want to encourage you to give it a chance. If you need community, it's here for you. All you got to do is go to my show notes, click on the link, and it'll take you right there and we'll get you plugged in. And then we'll help feed your mind and your soul, right? And thinking about what different exercises can you do for your mind, right? Sometimes as moms, we have so much on our mind, why won't my kid eat the same meal that they ate last week? Why is my 3-year-old suddenly regressing and not going on the potty? Why is my 4-year-old and 2-year-old fighting? How can I get them to stop hurting each other? Why is my husband not listening to me? Why is there so many events at school that I just can't keep up with, right? There is so much on our plates, and it can really exhaust us and deplete us. And so finding out what helps you manage all of that. Is it prayer? That feeds your soul right there, right? That's going to give fuel to your soul. Is it surrounding yourself with other believers, making sure that you make it a priority to connect and to come together with other like-minded people that can support you and encourage you and speak scripture over you, right? And lift your spirit. That is just so important. And so ultimately, what we do together in the Energized Mama method, again, it's a self-led course. It's something that you do on your own at your own pace, but I specifically guide you through it with principles and with assignments that make sense, and none of the videos are more than 15 minutes, because I know as a mom of 2 little boys myself, I ain't got time for that, right? It's like, I want to make time for myself, but in this season, I've only got so much of it. So that's how I tailored my program, was to make it really simple, really basic, really simple moving steps to move forward, really tangible steps as well. And then we also have our online student community where everyone is helping each other figure these things out, giving each other suggestions, keeping each other accountable, like really having that growth mindset type of community. Because we probably have all been there, or we at least have the moms that are just stuck. They're just in that season of surrender, like, hey, I'm a mom of littles, so, this is as good as I'm going to get for a few years. And you know what, moms? I think we all need that in our lives. We all need those days or those moments where we have that. But I refuse to believe that we have to stay there for years or even half a decade or a decade of our lives. And that's where some moms, they really lose themselves and they really just say, for now, I'm a mom. But I believe you're so much more than a mom. I believe God called you to motherhood if he's blessed you with children, whether biologically or non-biologically. But I also believe that he has more for you. He has more that he wants to give you, that he wants to bestow upon you. But as I've learned very early in life, God is a gentleman and he doesn't force himself on us. We have to make space for him and for his purposes in our life, and not make our lives completely all about our kids and our husbands. I think we sometimes sacrifice ourselves at the altar of our kids and our children. And the deeper question there would be, has God even called us to do that? Would we want our children to do that? Have you ever looked at your children, especially if you have a daughter, and thought, would I want her to completely forget herself and just live her entire life for her kids and her husband? That is the order of the Word of God, is that we're to honor God and our family second. Absolutely. but there's still his plans and purposes he has for you as an individual, number 3. And that's why by having the holes plugged in your boat, by finally taking time and realizing what serves you, what doesn't you, what do you have control over, what don't you, and stopping those energy drainers and suckers in your life. And then making conscious decisions to find out what fuels you, mama, not what fuels your neighbor, not what fuels your sister, what fuels you. And then the next step is going to be what I love, is one of my favorite parts of my program, is figuring out, now that you're fueled up, you're ready to go, you're ready to take off, but there's a lot of different directions you can go in your motherhood, right? And what's the right one for you? Where is that destination you're headed towards? If you don't know the destination, you most certainly can't put in any GPS coordinates. So you don't want to be a boat off in waters, not knowing where you're heading. You want to know, what is that next step? Where am I heading? How am I consciously going to get there? How am I intentionally going to get there? Now that I'm floating, now that I've got the energy and the fuel to get there, now where I'm going. And that I'm going to save for a future episode. Or if you're ready to dive in, come join me. Come join me in this course that I promise will probably take you 3 weeks or less to go. Can you imagine if in 3 weeks you can feel less stressed, less overwhelmed, you can feel actually more centered in who you are and start dreaming again? You can actually start to check off those things on your list that you've always set aside for, oh, maybe when my kids go to school, or maybe when my kids are in middle school. No, mama, how about right now? Right when your little one is still not sleeping through the night? What about when your little one still needs and requires so much of you? I promise it's possible, because I've been there and I've helped other mamas get there, and I don't want to leave you in the dust. So if you're ready to take that leap of faith on yourself and not feel like you have to do it alone anymore, that's what I'm offering you. Come check us out at energyformoms.com. It's exactly what I want to usher you into in this new season. If you set a New Year's resolution for reclaiming who it is that God has called you to be, and goals you have beyond your motherhood, hey, you know what? It's almost March, but it's not too late. You can make that resolution today and follow that journey God's placed on your heart, because you know what? I'm for you, and he's even more for you. And he guided you to this episode today, I believe, for a reason and a purpose. So I thank you so much for partnering with me, for hanging out, for having a little girl talk. If anything inspired you or, sharpened you today, would you please let me know with a review? You can head over to Apple Podcast and leave me a quick review. Let me know what you thought of the show. It's a great way to boost the show and make sure more moms get poured into and loved on through what I have to share, and also all my guests and their amazing knowledge have to share here at the Energized Mama podcast. I adore you. I love you. Please come back for the next episode. I'm getting really close to episode 100. I can't believe it. It's been such a journey over the last few years, and I am so excited for what's coming next in this beautiful new season as God continues to fine-tune me and gives me an opportunity to pour into each and every one of your lives. So don't forget to hit that share button, and most of all, receive this hug that I'm sending from me to you. Mwah. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you ladies on the next episode of the Energized Mama podcast.